record so that if anybody needs to refer back, we have this available. Miriam, actually, I wanted to speak to you first. Wanted to find out from you. I saw that today you had a bit more protein. Now, in comparison to say yesterday, how has your hunger been?
I haven't been hungry. In fact, I felt really full up after lunch.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I haven't been hungry.
So, what would normally happen then? So, a normal day of eating, would you have sort of some snacks in between, would you say?
Yes, I think I would have had a bit of chocolate,
Hmm.
or um, snacked a bit more, maybe on fruit, like dried fruit and nuts.
Hmm. And then you found that obviously you weren't so hungry, so you weren't thinking about food, or
Yeah, no, I was just full up, so
oh, that's
which was
amazing.
quite nice. Not sure if
Have
I
you
overdid the lunch.
actually I was looking and the numbers I mean, in terms of sort of looking at the numbers looked really good. And I was like, wow, this is a
Yeah.
really, really good sort of protein intake. It's quite funny actually because your body can't really store protein. So it kind of uses it all up for the processes that it needs to do. And when you're eating protein, as opposed to, say, drinking a milkshake, it will sort of hold off until it needs it. So it's actually really good. And it takes a lot more energy, so a higher calorie burn to digest protein. So the more protein you eat, the more it takes for your body to kind of break it all down. So it almost has like I'm not going to say a negative effect, but in terms of you're going to burn more calories trying to digest the protein than you were if you had a meal which had a higher, say, fat or carbohydrate content.
I did have a snack bar, and I think it was too high in sugar.
Mm, yeah, I saw that.
It's the Marks and
Yeah.
Spencers, but I didn't love it.
And it's probably the sugar, which is why you do love it. Because if you look, because what I mean, obviously I couldn't see the ingredients, but what I did see was I can't get to it now, but what I did see was they I think it was 17 grams of carbohydrates, and out of those 17 grams of carbohydrates, 13 of it was sugar. So if you sort of look at the sort of breakdown, it does tend to be quite high. Now, what is it about that bar that you like? Is it the crunch? Is it the flavor?
Definitely the crunch, I think, and it
Mm,
has dark chocolate in it. So I like
mm,
the sweet and
combo.
saltiness of the nuts as well. So I was going to
Yeah.
ask you, what is there any other products that are better than that?
Oh yeah, there's loads of products that are better than that. In fact, you could probably have, say, some nuts like some almonds, some cashews, or hazelnuts, whatever nuts you like, and have a bit of dark
Mm.
chocolate with it. And if you had dark chocolate, that because what I might I'm assuming here, but I'm not 100% sure, is although it's got dark chocolate, you have different levels of dark chocolate. And if you got, say, an 85% dark chocolate, that's 15% sugar as opposed to, a 65, which will still have, say, 35% sugar. So what you could do is get like a Lindt chocolate bar from your cold storage and just get a bag of nuts, mixed nuts, and have that instead. Do you think that could
But
work for you?
that's really obvious as well. So yeah.
Sometimes I think sometimes, like we'll go out and like, oh, you can have this keto this and there are so many products out there. Like I'm currently obsessed with a low sugar sort of granola product that I get off iHerb. And I love it so much. Like I'll have it with yogurt and it tastes amazing. But I mean, I know I could probably just do something similar at home by just adding a few nuts and adding some cinnamon and, the flavors that I'm getting from there. But, I'm spending $20 on a bag of this granola where I could probably get a bigger bag of nuts and that would last me a longer, longer time.
Yeah.
How are you with like an 85% dark chocolate? Does that work for you or is that too strong?
Um, I can eat it. I
Yeah,
can eat it. Not quite
but
the same, but I
not quite the
can
same,
eat it.
yeah. Yeah, so
But I
so
think it is
then what
enough. It's enough to take that edge off, isn't it? That
yeah.
you need.
I mean, if you were looking for sort of products that um I guess were a bit sweeter and kind of work as more of a replacement, there is a company here. I don't know if you've heard of jammies. Have you heard of jammies?
Oh yes, they're so
They
good.
actually do a chocolate granola. So they'll have all the nuts and the chocolate flavors and stuff. And if you say combine that with, I mean, you could probably just eat it on its own as a snack, but if you wanted to combine it with yogurt, that will give you a bit more extra protein. I'm always thinking, how can you get your extra protein in? So that's kind of a way that you could get in some, a treat that's lower in sugar and probably has cleaner ingredients than the Marks and Spencer. I mean, I totally understand, like you eat something like this and it brings you joy. And if you're content with that and you're happy to continue down that route, then go ahead and continue eating it. But you need to be aware that it's still high in sugar and it's not as healthy as sometimes these bars make out to be. And if you're happy to go ahead and continue using that as a treat, then yeah, then go ahead. But if you are thinking that you would prefer to maybe say cut down on it or find an alternative that you can use instead, then there are probably other things that you could try.
If I'm looking for something else, am I checking the protein or the sugar? Say like in a bar.
Both. I think both are important. So the protein will definitely help with obviously the satiety and making you feel fuller for longer. But if you've got a bar that's high in protein but is equally high in sugar, it's it's really not going to balance out, balance
Yeah.
out. So you kind of do need to take into consideration, and it really does depend on what your goal is there as well.
Okay.
If you're going to be doing this as a once a week treat, after you've done an intense workout, then you could probably use it as a replacement for your glycogen stores. But if it becomes one of those things where it tastes so good that you end up having it daily, even if you haven't, used up the glycogen stores in your muscles, then it's probably counterintuitive to what you're trying to achieve. Good. And how is your protein? How do you feel after sort of including more protein? Because I've noticed that today you had extra chicken.
I had some chicken, which actually I bought in school since I was
Mm,
there, and I have to admit honestly, since then I have my intestine is working really hard, so I'm not sure what else was inside. And I noticed too late there are raw onions. I can't
oh,
stand raw onions. I can have them cooked or roasted,
mm.
but raw onion give me the bloating and everything
Oh,
else, and it's just
yeah,
like so I'm not really hungry now for dinner. I think I'm still digesting the chicken.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it was not a good idea. So I'm thinking like if we have leftover tonight, I'm gonna bring it tomorrow to school and
yeah,
have it
yeah.
yeah, for lunch, the fish and yeah. So I see
It's
how
always
it goes. But I've no pardon.
I know, I was going to say, it's always difficult when you're eating, say, in a school canteen, because always find that it's always catered towards children. And if you are trying to sort of, include maybe something a bit healthier, it's not tailored towards, I guess, more adult kind of consumption. It's more
Yeah,
sort of
it's
kid
not.
friendly a lot of the
I
time.
also yeah, I found also it was a bit sweet, so I'm not sure if
Mm,
this was because of the bread. There were some seeds inside, or maybe it was in the mayonnaise. They added something in, or it's just whatever. So definitely it was not my thing. But I have a question about proteins when I eat it. Is there a difference in digestion if you eat meat, protein, let's say red meat or chicken or fish? Because it seems to me that I need longer for digestion with red meat,
mm.
let's say steaks or stuff like that, than fish or chicken. Is there a difference?
I think the digestion depends per person. And when you say you need longer for digestion, what do you mean that in terms of that you're not ready for your next meal? Is that what you mean? Or you feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, also uncomfortable. It depends at what time I eat it. If we have barbecue in the evening on the weekends, then I really can't sleep proper. It keeps me awake.
Okay.
It's
And
my
is that a later
yeah,
meal, or would that be your
late
usual
meal. It's
time?
an evening meal then. Usually barbecue is usually later, yeah. On the weekends can be 8 o'clock or even 9.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
So, but I notice it only with red meat. Yeah, with let's say barbecue, when we do steaks. So no
okay.
chicken, no fish. So I'm not sure if it's
So
really
what you
related
find
to.
then is when you're doing your barbecue, it's later than you would have your normal meal. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you're fuller, so you're struggling to sleep.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. And you're comparing this to chicken and fish, or are you comparing this to, say, a vegetable or a carby dinner?
No, only to chicken and fish, to chicken and
Okay.
fish. Yeah.
Well,
So maybe it's the composition, the protein, I don't know, different than in the other two.
it's funny because actually red meat is more bioavailable. So if you were to sort of compare to nutrition, red meat is actually, I'm going to say, healthier. It's a superfood. It has more nutrients in there. It has more amino acids. It's a complete protein. You'll get more sort of bioavailable vitamins, more fat soluble vitamins from red meat than you would say from chicken. I think in terms of what you get from red meat, there's a lot more. Now, if you're
Hmm.
saying that
Hmm.
you're eating it later and then you feel uncomfortable and you can't sleep, actually, there is a cutoff point when you should be eating in order to get a decent night's sleep. And usually it's about 2 to 3 hours before going to bed, you should have stopped eating. So whether it's red meat or white meat or fish or even veggies, there should be a longer duration before you go to bed, because that then gives your body time to digest the meal. The great thing about red meat is, like, say for example you had it for lunch, actually when you eat something, you want to go at least 3 to 4 hours between being needing to eat again. And
Hmm.
if the red meat is keeping you full, it's actually doing what it's supposed to do, is keeping you full. So, but if, for example, say you had a barbecue at 8 p.m. and then you decide to go to bed at 10, you probably need maybe, a little bit extra time to allow your body to digest. But then there's also individual nuances that you need to look at, because certain people will take longer to digest. Like if you haven't been a big red meat eater in the past and you've already started introducing it, it might be a bit different for your body. So you need to probably take it slower, maybe try having it at lunchtime and then sort of play around with it and see how it takes. And also it might be the doneness depending on how you cook the red meat as well. Now, is it fully cooked? Is
Okay.
it cooked like a stew? Is it medium rare? I
Mm.
think the way it's cooked as well, that can have an impact too.
Okay. Then I
And
have to
and
watch.
just
I have to watch that down and put it down. Yeah.
so just to kind of give you an example, if for example you have found that you have been sensitive to red meat, you might be better off having it in a stew where it's broken down, it's been cooked for a longer period of time, so it's easily digestible. But if you were to say have a steak that's been
Okay.
cooked medium rare, that's going to take longer to break down and digest.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you.
My pleasure. Um, should we sort of look at other ingredients like vegetables now? I know both of you are great with vegetables and you do try to incorporate them. So what are your sort of favorite type of vegetables to incorporate into your day? Miriam, would you like to go first?
Um, I quite like a variety, but my go-to is broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, pumpkin, peas and sweet corn,
And you keep and
probably.
you have these at home, do you? And just on hand and you just sort of chuck it.
The peas and sweet corn are frozen, but everything
Mm,
else I tend to buy fresh.
mm. And what's your sort of favorite way to eat the veggies?
I like to roast them. So I just
Mm.
cut whatever I've got that needs eating up, or I just chop it all up, put it in the oven, drizzle with a bit of all-purpose seasoning and a bit of olive oil. Well, but what's funny is everyone comes in and nicks a bit. They don't actually have some on their plate, but they always start nicking it. So
Yeah.
I have to make more now.
Amazing. So for you, it's not a struggle then to eat vegetables. You're quite good at getting them in, I take it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Brilliant. How about you, Gigi? What are your sort of favorite vegetables that you like to prepare?
Actually, any kind of vegetable we have every day. I try to have something green, either it's salad or it's spinach or it's kale or these kind of things, something greenish, and then I work around it. And roasted very frequent too, because we also do often roasted chicken in the oven or just a baked salmon. So I'd add these things around. Green asparagus is my favorite.
I love
Um,
asparagus.
yeah, so veggie usually just a bit of seasoning and olive oil, or maybe also some lemon, and that's it. Also, you can actually, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
Um, so Miriam, I've noticed that you have been reducing your grains. Has that been tough for you?
I'm not a big bread eater, but when I
Mhm.
cut it out, I really miss it. I think it's all psychological. And then
Right.
if someone's eating toast in the house, it's like, oh my gosh, I really want that. So, but it's not been too bad so far. This week's been
So
okay.
far. Okay,
Yeah,
not too bad.
it's
And
week
and
one.
Gigi, the weak one's always the easiest. Gigi, how about you? Are you finding sort of trying to balance out the grains with like the protein and what you're eating
Yeah.
struggle right now?
I struggle a bit, yes. Like today, I had then for lunch at school again. I had chicken curry, and there was only rice.
Mhm.
So I had only half portion of the rice, what they usually give away. And I have to admit, I really enjoyed it. It was less than a
Brilliant.
handful, and I was full. Because if I just would have the chicken and chicken curry, and I think there was one potato inside, I would be really, really hungry. At home, I have the cauliflower rice frozen. I have quinoa
Mm.
when I eat once in a while. And the rest, yeah, for dinner I did today, yeah, as I mentioned it earlier, the fish, the salmon, but I also made some rice for the kids. So I'll see how it goes. There's plenty of salmon and spinach is inside. I put more spinach and there are also mushrooms. So I see if this is enough for me. Otherwise, maybe, yeah, a bit of the rice too. Otherwise, if I go to bed and I'm hungry, it's gonna be a difficult night for me.
Do you guys find that then that if you are hungry, you can't sleep very well?
Mm.
And what would you do then? Would you go and grab a snack?
Mm. I try not. I try to drink something warm that calms down the stomach and then try to fall asleep again. But yeah, I try not even to go out of my bed. I just try to, yeah, not think about food and thinking, okay, next morning I can eat proper food again and fresh stuff, and then okay.
Yeah. That's a great way to sort of look at it. But do you then feel like you end up having a disturbed sleep?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I'm anyway an easy sleeper. I hear everything. I hear the chickens nearby. I hear
oh no.
mosquitoes. So even and then when I'm hungry, it's really I'm turning and twisting. So I know in the evening, if I didn't have enough throughout the day, I have to eat more in the evening. And if it's still not enough, yeah, my snack is walnuts. Walnuts. So
Great,
maybe
great snack.
7 pieces, half. So it's yeah, not
Yeah.
much, but I try to limit and then try to fill it up with tea, herbal tea in the evening, or yeah, something warm that soothes a bit, and then I'm fine usually.
Brilliant. At least you've got something there to as a go-to.
Yeah.
What about sugar, guys? Are you quite conscious of the sugar that is in the food? Or is that something that you are looking at more at now or not?
Yeah, I'm looking at it more now, especially after I had my bar today, my my snack bar.
How about yourself, Gigi? Are you looking at the sugar
Um,
in food
I'm not look
or?
I'm not looking at the list, but I can taste it actually. If something
Mm,
is too sweet for me, then is the bread today or the sandwich. I
mm,
can taste it. It happened, I think, during the shift intro
yeah,
that I cut down on sugar. Sugary drinks really, really very, very seldom.
yeah,
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, I'm more sensitive to sugary stuff. Or I can taste sometimes the sweetener or artificial things inside.
yeah.
Yeah. While you're out, it's yeah. At home, no, I don't use anything. But outside, it's like, oh, especially Asian cooking, Chinese
Mm,
food and the Thai food, there is sugar everywhere.
yeah. Yeah, it's really difficult
It's
to
really
avoid when you're eating out, because you don't have control of what goes inside. So yeah, it can become a bit difficult, especially in the curries and the sauces. There's definitely a lot of sugar that's been added in there. What about sort of adding in sugar or sort of cravings? Do you, I mean, Miriam, you sort of mentioned that you quite like
not
your chocolate. Do you get cravings at any particular time of day or in a particular situation where you fancy having something sweet?
After I've eaten, I sometimes fancy something sweet.
Mm. And is that lunch and dinner or one meal in
Yeah,
particular? Both of them.
mostly lunch, I think. More likely to be
Yeah.
lunch.
After lunch, you just want to finish off your meal with something sweet.
Yeah. And it
Is
doesn't
that
have to be
almost,
big.
yeah?
Yeah.
And does that
Because
almost like
my family
sorry?
always laugh at if we go out for lunch or dinner, I don't always want a dessert, but I will have
Yeah,
a bit of theirs because I only need
yeah.
that little mouthful. And they don't like
I
sharing anymore.
know. I used to say that's like I would want to order the dessert, and my husband would say, "I'll have some of yours." I'm like, "No, I'm not sharing. You can't have mine." But so would you say that having the little bit of sweet after you've eaten is almost like a signal that you've finished your meal? It's like I'm done after this point. Do you feel like that's
Yeah, I
what could be
suppose it is
happening?
actually. Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Mm.
Never thought of
And
it
what
like
do
that,
you
but yeah, maybe.
what do you normally reach for then?
I sometimes have like a couple of grapes
Yeah.
or raspberries.
So quite healthy things then.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so
I won't always
it's
go
not
for
like
cake.
a dairy milk or
No. Although I do like a rich tea biscuit, the odd biscuit every
okay.
now and again in the
Yeah.
afternoon when I have my tea, but I think that's just a British habit.
I haven't had one of those in years, but I used to love them. How about you, Gigi? Do you get cravings for sweet things in
um
sort of particular circumstances?
yeah, sometimes I then grab, as you can see from a journal, it's either fruits, it's mangoes or watermelon, or last weekend I had acai berry, the acai, and on
Yeah.
top it were bananas and berries and stuff, and I enjoyed it so much. But then I had enough. After that, that's it. It's gone. The cravings are gone. I think once in a while, if I treat myself,
Yeah.
shouldn't be a big issue, right?
Exactly. Of
And
course not,
and there also, yeah, chia seeds, fruits were inside, and yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't feel so
Amazing.
guilty like if I would have bought a donut or a
Mm.
Mm.
strawberry cheesecake or something like that. Where I
So
think the
do you
acai bowl also have plenty of calories, right?
so you can get two different types, and I don't know how it works in the Asahi shops. I don't know if they blend it with sugar. But I know in the stores you can actually buy sugar-free versions that you can blend at home yourself if you have like a high-speed blender. And then you can top it with your fruit and the chia seeds and the nut butters and nuts and obviously it becomes a sugar-free version. I think it's a little bit tartar than you would get in a store. And I think
Yeah,
in a store obviously they do it so that it's more appealing so that more people will obviously want to try it. So I think there it may be a sweetened version. But you can. I've seen them in cold storage and on Redmart that you can get the
Red
unsweetened
Mart.
versions as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We tried the one from Red Mart. I had the one in a pin tin or the separate ones,
Yeah.
and but I find you can't just eat them like that. They're too hard, and once you leave them outside for a while, they get so quick watery.
Do
The
you have a blender
creaminess
at
is
home?
there. Yes, but it's not good. It's one of the
Oh,
slow
I
blend.
see. Uh,
I probably
yeah,
need a high
I
speed
think
to get it
yeah, I think
smooth.
if you've got a if you've got a high speed blender, you just sort of chuck it in there. Sometimes you can add a bit of coconut cream, and that will sort of make it that sort of ice cream like texture.
Okay.
Right. So, do you both have any questions before we sort of finish up for the weekend? Anything that you are concerned about or excited about? Any changes that you've noticed so far? Because we've been doing this for a few days now.
No.
No?
No.
Great. Well, what we'll do is we'll reconvene on Tuesday, and I hope you both have a lovely long weekend. Um, and if you have any questions in between, you can reach out to me via the app, and then I'll speak to you ladies on Tuesday.
Same to
Have a nice
you.
weekend. Enjoy the
Yeah,
Thank
celebration.
you. Thank
yeah, and
you.
your boy's birthday party, so you're going to
Yes.
celebrate double this weekend?
Double, yeah, double. So it's going to be crazy. My mum and my sister arrive tomorrow evening. Then we've
Oh,
got obviously Diwali on Sunday. My boy's birthday on Monday. Well, it's their birthday party on Monday, but their birthday's actually on Tuesday. So it's going to be a busy few days for us.
Yeah.
enjoy.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Enjoy the fun
Have a good
and yeah.
evening.
See
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye bye.